Hello and welcome to this video, and happy 2025! In this video I'm going to do some experiments with my two favorite things, 3D printing and resin pouring. Or some of my two favorite things, I should say, because I definitely have a lot more crafts that I absolutely love. But these are crafts that I do all the time because they're so much fun. And I decided I wanted to experiment a bit with infill patterns and functional or decently functional decorative prints. So I actually printed this candle holder as a start. And I actually am going to pour resin in different layers, and I'm gonna try to highlight the infill pattern. But as you can see, yeah, it leaked. I think it has something to do with the filament because my further experiments, everything besides the orange was fine. This was fresh filament, fresh, newly ordered out of the bag when I poured this. I think that it just either to do with pulling moisture in the manufacturing process or anything else. Either way, I tried to continue. I hope that all the cracks were just at the bottom and sealed. Spoiler alert, they weren't. It's still kinda cured, but fine, but it definitely isn't usable, and the sides started cracking a little. But as you can see, the proof of concept is there. It really looks cool with the infill patterns and this color. So I decided I'm gonna experiment a bit more, use a different infill pattern for each and figure out which ones I like. And I'm just gonna make flat coasters as my thing here. Now you can see the orange once more because I wanted to just try it again. As for the rest, I'm using grey. For those who are wondering, the orange was Prusament and the grey was recycling. It's called Recycling Fabrik. I don't know if I don't think their filament has a brand name. I think they go with that. But basically this is recycled PLA that they just use scraps for, and they make it into new filament. And I actually love their filament. It's nice and affordable, and their colors are really pretty. Of course they're a bit more muddled than others, which is why I'm still going for certain colors in other brands, just to have those really vibrant ones. But pastel colors and these really beautiful muted colors like this gray, they do pretty well. And they actually also do black and white filament, and those are pretty clean and vibrant too, as much as white and black can be. So I actually love their stuff, and I'm definitely gonna continue picking up these recycled filaments. They work pretty great. There is some slight inconsistencies very rarely on the spools, but I never really had any issues with it not really printing. I had two spools out of the 10 I got so far that I had to snip off a bit of filament, unload it because I didn't want to load, but that is really not bad odds considering they're a very small company. This is not an ad, I'm not sponsored, I just thought I'd share my opinion of them. And as you can see, I chose a great variety of different infills. Basically I just went into my slicer, put a hexagon in there, and I thickened the wall sizes, just the outer walls, I think to 5 or 6 layers, just to make sure it's thick enough. And actually I wanted to have a kind of border that also would visually differentiate things. And then I chose different infill patterns, and I basically took off the topmost layer completely, the layer count for the topmost layer is 0, the bottom and the sides are a bit higher. And then I just went around, clicked on every single infill and tried it in various densities, and this is what I end up with. For example, the orange one is a 3D honeycomb, and then I have different others. The star is less of a functional infill pattern, but one the slicer has as an artistic one. There are more of these artistic ones, but I thought the star would fit quite nicely. I did pour this in autumn, and I thought this really looked Christmassy, so I went with gold for that. I went with green for this gyroid-esque thing. The triangle stacked, I thought blue would really look really nice. And honeycomb, honey, the orange, it's kind of the same thing I did or tried to do for the candle holder, which didn't work out. Now there's some slight resin piece sticking on the bottom of some of these. The grey ones really don't have much. The only grey one that has a lot is one where I overfilled it a bit and it's built from the side. And it also has a bit of orange that leaked through, but yeah, these are usually fine, and I know I can clean these up because PLA and resin, they don't bond together well. I did enough like resin pours for like dioramas and stuff where I actually used like the base as like a PLA box or something, and I know you can easily delaminate them. Like they hold up pretty well if you like really pour them in like deeper layers, so I'm not worried about anything popping out where I had the infill patterns. But, you know, just the bottom sides that are pretty smooth, I'm gonna clean up. The orange is gonna be pretty decently bad, but I think I can still save it, as long as none of the layers like break apart and delaminate, which can happen with, you know, the bond being weakened due to humidity. But overall, I think this looks so cool, even with the sunken in resin, that I really want to save it. Also, I guess trypophobia warning, I'm sorry if that triggered anybody, but yeah, it's like this really cool, like I think it really looks like honeycombs in a way. Now my resin was a little bit soft, so I had to peel it off a little bit more, and there were some larger gaps underneath where like the layer lines met. This is just from the filament itself, as I said, it must have pulled some humidity, so it took a little while longer to peel off. If I would have let it harden a little bit more, I'm sure I could have like pulled it off in one sheet. As you can see, I actually let these pieces harden a bit longer. The reason why I didn't do that with the orange is because I wasn't too sure, because of all the gaps, if I could even remove the resin then. It still worked out well, it just took me like, I guess 10-15 minutes longer. These were super quick, I just had to go over it with my blade, and like I could mostly peel off like larger chunks. Because these layers were so thin though, the resin kept just cracking off. If you have like thicker layers that spilled, you can totally just like pull them off in one go. I'm using a very sharp blade here. This is like a flat carving blade for like wood and lino carving. And it worked pretty well. I'm just very careful that I don't hit my fingers, and I also make sure to wear protective eyewear just to make sure that none of the like resin splinters fly into my eyes, because they can hurt quite a lot. They can be quite sharp. And you know, if you have, maybe also wear like a cut-proof glove or something if you're not that confident with blades. I was very, very careful to work away from my fingers and to really hold it in place. The mat I'm using is actually like kind of anti-slip. It's more of like a rubbery type material, so although it still slips because I do use a decent bit of force, it definitely helped. But yeah, this was a slow process, but in the end I think the outcome is very well worth it. And overall, I had a lot of fun. It's a very simple project, you know. You don't even have to use a base 3D model. You can literally just, like if your slicer has that option, put a form, a shape into your slicer and just tinker a bit with like the wall heights and like, you know, layer heights, obviously. Because, you know, no top layer, but bottom layer and side layer should be a little bit stronger. And then just choose an infill pattern. And, you know, with most slicers you can actually choose, I think with practically all, you can choose the infill density and experiment with that too. And I'm sure maybe if you like infill patterns, I'm sure you can find some you like. Now, of course, there's tons of different things you can do just with infill patterns that would look like ornaments. I just wanted to try the resin because I wanted to make it look like it has a bit of depth, and I want to use these as coasters. The resin will make them a bit more waterproof than they already are. I mean, PLA is plastic, so it's pretty waterproof, but it also still has like layer gaps. So this definitely was a fun project to like highlight this, and like I think with most of these, like the pigment density or like the amount of pigment I chose really highlights the infill pattern, but also gives it a lot of depth. You can especially see that in the triangular patterns where like the blue gets darker and darker towards the bottom, but you can still see the like lighter gray showing through on the top layers, and I think it looks really, really great. Like, I'm sure if you use like different colors of filament, obviously the effect is gonna be different. Like the lighter ones is gonna show through a bit more, and the darker ones, like the orange ones, they're just gonna show through on the top, depending on how dense the infill is. But I think all of these look really great, and you know, it was so much fun actually like creating them, just playing around on the slicer. And they were so simple. Like, these are a great entry into like tinkering with your slicer project, I think. And yeah, as I said, the resin makes them functional. I would never put hot stuff on them because it is still PLA, and PLA gets soft from temperatures as low as 60 degrees Celsius. So if you put like a 100 degree boiling water like cup, even if the cup is insulated at the bottom, I don't think they would survive as much. The resin in this case would hold this. It's temperature resistant, but yeah, not the plastic. Again, just, you know, need to be careful with that in this case, but I can just put like glasses on it when I drink water or juice or something, and they will hold perfectly fine. And you know, again, just a ton of different ways to customize them. The resin colors, the filament colors. I really want to like maybe try in the future to like redeem the candle holder. I want to make like things that are maybe just infill without the sidewalls, but for those it may be just a longer process because I need to make like an outer mold where I can pour in the resin. But I think, you know, in the future that would definitely be a very fun and funky project. Maybe like a flower vase or something, or another decorative piece. I just have to think of something and model something up and then just, you know, have it print in pure infill, which I think is also gonna be quite a fun challenge. But I think in the end it could look really amazing. Anyways, let me know in the comments down below. Do you have a favorite infill pattern, or do you like to actually hide your infill patterns? Like, do you just like them for them being functional if you use 3D printing? If not, let me know your general thoughts of these coasters and maybe some ideas on, you know, what I can make in pure infill patterns and what you think would look nice with just, you know, infill patterns where the light can shine through and then just a resin coating. And as always, I hope you have a great day. See you next time. Bye bye!